Hello, I'm Patrick Watson from UC Today, and in this webinar I am joined by Iain Sinnott of VanillaIP. Good afternoon, Iain. How are you?
Afternoon, Patrick. I'm very, very well.
Excellent. Well, I wanted you to join me in this webinar as I wanted to talk about something that I know is very close to your heart at VanillaIP, and that's the premise that not all BroadSoft platforms are created equal. And I think we need to set the scene a bit in terms of there are a lot of generic platform offerings out there available to service providers from both BroadSoft and other competitors as well. And I wanted to understand from you why you think it's important to offer your service providers customizable, unique packages.
Well, it's an interesting thing because it came up the other day when I was at another trade show, and people assume that because you have a BroadSoft, you're the same as the other guys that have got a BroadSoft. But for us, and probably for everybody else, BroadSoft is simply an application within the mix of what we do. So firstly, there is a question about what else comes in the mix. What other services are being brought together to deliver the VanillaIP solution? And the second element is, what is a BroadSoft? What elements of BroadSoft are you seeing brought through, and how flexibly can those elements be used? And I think what's truly different about VanillaIP is that, first of all, we really break the BroadSoft products down into their constituent parts. And then we use our UBOS smart capabilities to rebuild a proposition that is appropriate for the marketplace or the user that our customers are going for. And the third thing that's worth bringing into play is that once you've got your BroadSoft solution together, and once you've picked out the other VanillaIP clever stuff that we put together, like the Carcapo solutions or an Akixi product, or the various devices that we make available, the next question for a reseller is, what else do they want to bring into the product or solution? How are they going to personalize it? Do they want to add Zoom? Do they want to add Microsoft Teams? Do they want to add something else? So the solution is never the same. And pretty much the BroadSoft element, whilst it's a core function of the stability and the robustness of the voice solution, it's only a small element in what we as true service providers bring to the marketplace as a marketplace solution.
And I know one thing that you focused on very specifically is the ability to provide feature appropriate extensions. So first of all, I just wanted to understand from you what is a feature appropriate extension?
Well, look, I'm a salesman by birth. So the idea that I want to go out is I want to create a relationship with a customer where I understand what their requirements are, and I match the solution up according to that. If I match things directly, I can justify the price that I'm going to pay. If I make some overarching assumption that everybody might need 20 services, there's a looseness in that. It's a generalization. It's not a specific engagement with the customer. So the idea of a feature appropriate extension is, if I sit in the office, I make 3 phone calls a day, I don't get much else in terms of communication from around the place, my solution just needs to be pretty simple. Desktop phone, maybe a directory to get my numbers from, but pretty much pick the phone up and answer it. But if I'm going to work flexibly, if I'm going to be, out of the office every Friday because I'm going to work from home, or I'm going to commute late because I'm going to do my admin at home, I'm going to travel around, I'm a traveling person, I go internationally, then I've got a very different feature set that I require. If I'm working in the financial sector, I need a MiFID II compliant call recording. If I'm not in MiFID II land, but I need call recording for my own purposes, I need a GDPR call recording solution. So I need to be able to say, as a user, this is what I do. And as a supplier, I need to be able to say, okay, then we'll put this list of services together and we'll call that your package. So at its nth degree, a feature appropriate extension means that 2 people within an organization who do roughly the same job may have a different device, may have a different package because they work from different locations, and we're being specific to their efficiency, not general about what happens in a business.
And you've sort of preempted my next question with your answer there. But why is it so important to offer this to customers in terms of the feature appropriate extensions or the different packages for each individual user? Why can't you just provide a blanket package and assume you'll get the same results?
Well, there's a couple of different things that come into play here. Firstly, there's winning the deal, and secondly, there's retaining the customer. If you've done everything on a general basis, the likelihood is that somebody can generalize in the same way as you, and then you're in a bit of a Dutch auction when it comes to satisfying that customer's requirement or winning the deal. The second element is, if I haven't made it specific to you, in the future you may see that I've loaded it with wasteful products that you don't need, and somebody else can come in and identify that and give you a different proposition that is more specifically for you. So if I don't do a good job on day one, and I don't work with you over time to make sure that I remove dud services and provide, enhancement services over the 2, 3, 4 years that you take my service, I'm going to lose you in the end, because my service will become less appropriate to the way you're actually using it. So it's winning and it's retaining customers, it's optimizing margin, and it's making sure the customer understands that we've listened to them specifically, and we're trying to target the optimization of their staff, because there are two expensive factors that they're trying to deal with: staff optimization and the best management of inbound and outbound calls to clients.
And one thing we can't neglect, that obviously you're offering tailors to perfectly, is that no one business is the same. And although you might have specific templates for maybe different market verticals, each organization within that, and then again, each individual user within that organization is going to have a slightly different requirement that you can tailor for.
Exactly. The challenges are very different, and as salespeople, we should embrace that, because if we talk about things in too much of a general term, we lose the personalization of the relationship. We don't get the hook that gives them the good feeling that says that they buy. The old saying, people buy from people. Well, if I haven't done a good enough job at understanding you, your people, how I can optimize the value of the salaries that you pay them, how I can optimize the relationship with the customer and the customer experience that I deliver, why would they pay me top dollar? Why would they retain me over 5, 6, 7 years? I had to work pretty hard to get this money together, and we should do, because we've got all the tools to do it. There's no reason why we wouldn't bespoke a solution or tailor a solution to be as optimal as possible. And the only thing that would stop us doing it is maybe laziness, or maybe a belief that we just need to get to a decent price and get out of there before anything goes wrong.
So say I'm a reseller, and I might have one of those beliefs that you just said. I might think, oh, well, actually, if I can just reach, the lowest price point, I would I'll potentially win this deal regardless of whether I look on a feature appropriate basis or not. But I think you've seen something different in the market, haven't you, in terms of resellers being able to retain profit in a market generally where revenues are falling and competition is increasing?
Well, if we bring into it that the customers aren't necessarily informed about what the possibilities are, so the customer may themselves drive a relatively simple initial sale. And to a degree, you can't avoid that. So as long as you can do a good job and bring a feature-appropriate solution to them on the basis of what they currently know, that's job number one. But job number two, and the reason UBOS enables our partners to work so well over a period of time, is that I can now market to you additional services, overlay services, services that maybe only cost 50p or £1 or £1.50 a user. But I can get you to self-serve on the UBOS portal. I don't have an admin overhead for putting a cheap service like a £1 service on. So I can ask you and invite you through marketing to build up your revenues by taking maybe a different soft phone, maybe a different call recording package, maybe something on the reporting side, switching to agents rather than hunt groups and users. I help you to choose a more complete service. You up your revenue over time. I let you self-serve. I let you puppy dog close. I don't put you under a 3-year contract. It's all very relaxed. But at the end of the day, after maybe 3-4 years, my average ARPU per user in your organization may have moved up from £12 to £15, £16. And that in terms of the successful growth of a reseller business is the most important way that we need to go. Number of customers, good. But if you have to have twice as many customers at half the margin in order to stand still, that's a lot of effort. If we can increase the revenue and increase the margin call, we need fewer customers to stand still, and therefore we go forward more easily.
And in terms of that's one way of a reseller potentially managing to maintain or even improve their revenue, but also it's a great way of being able to differentiate yourself in what's becoming a more ever crowded marketplace.
Well, again, as a salesperson, my first job is to go in and find the weakness of the incumbent. So if I don't ask enough questions, if I don't find a USP or two that can't be answered by the incumbent, unless they've fallen out, I've got a pretty uphill struggle, or I'm going to have to throw money at the problem. If I then know that I've got competition, if I know that I've got, several hundred BroadWorks sellers out there, I got to make sure that the customer understands that not all BroadSofts are created equal. I've got to get the customer to attach themselves to some of the USPs that I provide as a reseller. And if I can't do it with the BroadWorks or the VanillaIP functionality, then I'm going to fall back on the fact that in UBOS, I'm able to bring in my own products and services, enhance the package myself at my reseller level, and still deliver them through one pane of glass through the UBOS customer portal. Because although VanillaIP would like to sell every service to every reseller, if they think something else is best in class, we've left the portal open to bring those best in class services in and make the proposition that works for them.
That's a really interesting differentiating point with your UBOS platform, isn't it? You're not self-absorbed enough to think that there might not be other platforms out there that resellers want to use, and being able to do that really does allow them to tailor their services to provide a completely unique offering to customers.
Well, if you like, it was one of the big lessons we learned from BroadWorks, because I don't think anybody's out there going to say that BroadWorks have cornered the UC marketplace with the best-in-class toys. We already bring in stuff to subsidize the performance of the call center queues and all that sort of thing. So if you recognize that a big company like BroadSoft aren't going to get it right in every segment, you then have to concede that you as a smaller organization are equally not going to get best-in-class in everything in the eyes of every reseller. So we do our best. We put ourselves in our own marketplace. UBOS is like a marketplace of apps and services, including BroadWorks. But if the reseller decides that something else should be brought in to enhance it, again, a Zoom or a different sort of collaboration tool altogether, then fine, bring it in at their level, automate the order process from a customer's point of view, and blend in to make a complete solution according to the area that you're working in and the sales guys. Because if the sales guy doesn't believe in the product, they're going to struggle to sell it. So we've got to be allowing flexibility like that.
And Ian, if some of the viewers want to find out more about how you do this with both UBOS and VanillaIP, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, simply because we got such a broad portfolio, commit an hour or so, get one of the guys in and work through the product in detail. There is a reason we've created so many high quality products and services, not all of which have to be taken. But it is worth indulging in working out what the products and services are, how they knit together, why UBOS is used to wrap around the whole thing and to create this great customer experience and reseller tool. And if you're going to be serious about the investment of time and money that you put into growing the marketplace over the next 2, 3, 4 years, it's well worth that time to come and find out exactly what's different about the way we do it and the way that UBOS allows us to do it. Because there's a lot of good BroadSoft people out there. There's a lot of good suppliers out there. You have to be, as a reseller, the best at your level, which means take the best from our level and add everything else that you need at your level.
Well, Ian, thank you so much for explaining a bit more about how not all BroadSofts and not all platforms are created equal in this short webinar.
Well, listen, my pleasure. And again, there's always so much to talk about in this industry, and most of it is getting more exciting and faster moving. So we're enjoying ourselves. We have to work hard to stay up to date, but that's why we've got 85 people in the development team, I suppose.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining me, Ian.
All right, good man. Talk to you very soon. Take care.